My grandmother, Kathy George, was born in the small town of Marlow, Texas. When talking with her about what the most impactful event that helped shape who she has become today, she told me it was her decision to go to ACU, which was still ACC, Abilene Christian College, at the time. My grandma was one of 13 children in her family, so this was no small feat for her parents. She wanted to attend ACC since the 6th grade. She told me that Marlow did not have many opportunities and that most of her friends married right after high school, then went back to school later in life. She, however, was not very interested in that life. It was difficult for her parents to send her because of financial reasons, but they all made it a goal of theirs and were able to beat the odds. According to my grandma, attending ACC shaped everything in her life from then on. She didn't want to go back and live in the tiny town, but instead wanted a diploma and a career. She was a music education major, played the flute and sang in the choir, and was studying to become a music teacher. The classes were the most influential aspect of her time here. She said they opened up the world to her. She also met her husband, my grandfather Ed George, during her time at ACC. Leaving Marlow, coming to ACC, studying music, and meeting my granddad completely changed her life. All of these events have had an incredibly direct relation to me. Her choice, as well as my grandfather's, to go to school at ACC is the reasons my parents came here, as well as my brother and I. Even more than starting 3 generations of attendance at ACU, my grandmother was a strong woman that knew she wanted to be more than just a housewife. She had goals and dreams and was able to make them come true. Because of her decision to take a different path in life than the people around her, she has taught me to choose what makes me happy and to pursue a life I can be proud of. My grandfather chose a much more serious moment in life that shaped who he is today. He recalled the attack on Pearl Harbor the day it happened and the effects it created afterwards. 8:15 in the morning in Hawaii, December 7, 1945, was about 1:15 in the afternoon here in Texas. My granddad remembers playing outside in their yard when his mom suddenly came out crying, which was very unusual. He remembers the children also tearing up and doing the whole child thing of asking, "What's wrong?" while feeling upset with her. Her response was, "We're going to be in war and I'm afraid your daddy's going to have to leave." The attack on Pearl Harbor shaped the next 10 or so years of his life. Rationing and moving, but mostly his dad leaving and going to work as a mechanic for an aircraft plant. He was an absentee father for many months while working in Los Alamos, New Mexico, where it turned out he had been working on the Manhattan Project without knowing it. My granddad remembers collecting anything and everything they could find, including toothpaste tubes, old tires, and any kind of scrap metal. He remembers there being hardly any trash because everything was recycled back to the war. They also basically lived on food stamps because families were allotted certain portions of everything. In 1945, he remembers going to Sweetwater for VJ Day, or Victory over Japan, for a huge celebration that the war was finally over. The direct impact this moment in his life has on me is the fact that I went through a very similar situation. I came home on 9/11 to my mother crying while watching the television. I cried with her and asked what was wrong and was told that we were going to war and that my dad would soon be leaving. My granddad, having gone through a similar situation in his past, became a very prominent figure in my life while my dad was deployed 3 different times. He was a constant reminder to me that I could make it through the 15 months he was gone, and that I, like him, was a strong-willed young child. Going through the same situations brought us closer together as a grandfather and granddaughter, and taught me valuable lessons about the emotions I can handle throughout my life. Both of my grandparents have been a huge influence on me, but for very different reasons. My grandmother has taught me to be a strong-willed, independent woman, and my grandfather has shown me that I can handle any situation life has to offer.